Thor is imprisoned on the planet Sakaar and must race against time to return to Asgard and stop Ragnarok, the destruction of his world at the hands of the powerful and ruthless villain.
Welcome to the Walt Vault with
Michelle,
Andre,
Luis,
and me, Emily. We're a family-friendly podcast where we pick a new Disney movie each week. We watch it, share our thoughts, and then relate it to pop culture, fandoms, and anything else that pops into our heads. Enjoy!
hello and welcome to episode 74 of the Walt Vault.
I can't believe it.
Is that how I normally say
74.
that? Yeah, we've done this for a long time.
And the third episode of our Marvel Summer.
Round 2.
Round 3, right?
Round 3.
Okay.
Round 2?
Year 2.
Oh, year 2.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Summer
yeah.
2. Summertime.
Ooh.
This week, we are discussing the 2017 live-action Marvel film.
This was 2017 movie.
Correct.
Oh.
Thor-Ragnarok.
Time flies.
Thor with Korg. Ragnarok.
Thorg.
My name's Glog.
They combine together.
All right, yes.
Thorg.
Thor Ragnarok.
Look it up or...
It takes time.
Louis,
no.
will you tell us what you call this movie? Because it's not Ragnarok.
Thor.
Pudding block.
No.
Ew.
Yummy.
Give me a hit.
Oh, boy.
What do you-
A hint on the thing
You
that
should
you
know.
call the
It's
movie.
yours.
I'm spacing out, guys.
He says like Ragnarok.
Ragnarok.
With like an ad. Lots of ad.
Ragnarok.
I can't remember for the life of me, guys. If it comes back to me, I'll let you know.
All right. Thank you.
First impressions, friends.
Andre.
Oh, yes, me.
Me first.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Oh,
Best
Took-
Thor movie.
Took it from me.
Okay, I'm done. That's it.
but that is true. That's true.
Correct.
But that's unfortunately not a very good description of what your first impression is because the other Thor movies are.
Thor 2 sucks.
It's so interesting
Eh.
because
The first one was okay.
the first Thor, I watched it and I loved it at the time. And then like a year passed or so, and then I was like, yeah, that first Thor was all right.
It's still good.
Wasn't that great? And then I watched Thor 2,
Ooh.
and at first I loved it.
Ooh. What? You liked Thor the
When
Dark World?
Upon my first watching, I was like, yeah, that was great. There was a lot of action. There was a lot of Loki stuff. It was cool. And then I watched it like one more time, and I was like, oh, man, I was wrong. This is easily the worst Marvel movie.
It's definitely the worst Marvel movie.
Can't be as bad as the Hulk.
Incredible Hulk is better than
the
Thor
Hulk
the
is
Dark
better
World.
than Thor the Dark World.
Nah, I don't
Yeah,
think
dude.
so. I disagree
I think so.
completely.
Ew, pretty bad.
But anywho, so that's all you're gonna say for your first impression? It's just better than the
Yeah,
other ones?
Thor is this is my favorite Thor movie. No, my first impression is that it's very fun.
Okay.
It's a fun movie. It has a good villain. I don't hate the villain. I like the villain. And I like that they made it more comical.
Boom.
Boom.
Andre.
Indeed. Samesies, you know? Thor Ragnarok is really, really, really high up in my Marvel list of good movies.
I'd watch it again right now.
Absolutely. It's so fun. It's so freaking funny. Oh my
My name's
goodness.
Golg. I literally couldn't stop saying that.
It's hilarious. Like, and when I think of the other like funny Marvel movies, it's like Ant-Man and Guardians and Spider-Man to an extent. But this one, I think, blows them all out of the water in terms of how much it makes me laugh.
I feel like it rivals
Hilarious.
Guardians for me.
Yeah, and I feel like they were
Yep.
trying to make it similar vibe
Right.
to Guardians with all the synth music and
Sure.
stuff like that, you know. But I love it.
Yeah.
Lou, what about you?
So are we giving first impressions based off of
Just what's
this
your-
time we
Yeah,
watched
just
it, or
in
the
general.
very, very first time?
In general.
However you want.
Funny story. First ever impression, me and Ems were like looking at each other and we're like, what is this movie trying to do? Like, this isn't Thor, you know? But then after several viewings afterwards, we're like, this is hilarious.
It's so good.
Definitely trying to do what Guardians does. I would say may have reached Guardian level with this movie, you know, in terms of
It's
funny and
close.
humor. It's pretty funny.
It's there.
Well, okay, so
I think Guardians is funnier.
my first impression for this one is that, like Louise said, the first time I watched this movie, I didn't connect with it. I think it's because it was just so different than
Right.
the other Thor movies that I was like, whoa, I was just thrown off.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is probably the 4th or 5th time I've seen it. I literally laughed 90% of the movie.
Just
this
the
So good.
entire time.
Especially after rewatching other movies and like the Doctor Strange pieces, the
Yeah.
Loki pieces,
Which is
like
so
just
bad.
having all the extra.
Loki. I love
So freaking funny. I don't. It makes like just the little one-liners that much more funny. I
Right.
think you really have to understand the characters to see why they're so funny, especially because these characters have always been really serious and stoic, and now they're like they've interacted so much with the people on Earth that they're picking up from them, which makes it extra funny. I
Yes,
think.
they definitely have like more earthy mannerisms in
Yes.
this one.
They're-
Even
they're
though
no-
they're
they're
less
not on
as-
Earth at
well,
all.
Well, right, but they're less Asgardian, I think.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
think that's why it makes it funny. Even though they have no idea what they're talking about. Like,
Yeah.
I have electronic mail. Like, oh, shut
Do you have a
up.
computer? What would I need a computer for?
Stop.
I will say that yes, this is my favorite Thor movie, but it is also my favorite Hulk movie.
Yeah, correct, Amundo.
Because he's in it just as much and maybe more than Thor. Like he's in it probably just as much. And we hadn't seen Banner in a while, and it's my favorite Hulk movie because I don't really care for Banner, like Bruce Banner, that much. He's okay.
How dare you?
Definitely didn't care for that creepy Banner Hulk thing in that other movie. But this Hulk is like a good Hulk. Like I like this Hulk.
Well, it's funny,
From
too,
this
because
movie.
they're definitely not planning on or were not going to make another Hulk movie. Like, it was
No.
very obvious. Like, just with I think, like, the Hulk reception in general.
Yeah.
The
So
Hulk
it-
stuff is like tied up at the moment.
Well, and that's what made it funny how much he was in this movie. And I think every time I watch it, I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, he is in this quite a bit.
Yeah, a lot.
From the moment he's introduced into the storyline, which is a little bit of the ways in, he's in it almost every scene
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah, he's the best.
He drops in probably like 30
favorite
minutes
Thor
in.
movie, favorite Hulk movie.
Yeah. So the Hulk, I believe, is currently still like half owned by Universal Studios. That's they have like a Hulk ride at their parks and stuff like that, and they're the ones who made the Incredible Hulk movie, that first one. And the only reason that there hasn't been another standalone movie since then is because Universal still owns the full rights, but they have a deal kind of like with Sony and
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man that Hulk can be used in any of the other Marvel films.
Well, let's be honest,
To their
I'm
heart's
cool with
content.
it. I don't need to see another Hulk movie.
Correct.
I don't
No,
think
this
it's
was perfect.
necessary.
So, like, this particular story where Hulk is sent off to another planet and fights as a gladiator is straight from the comics. It was called Planet Hulk, where Hulk gets sent into space by, I believe, Nick Fury. He sends him off because he's like, we gotta figure out a solution for this Hulk problem that we got. So he sends him to space, and then he spends his time on Sakaar, beating people up and getting people pregnant. You know, he had a son on Sakaar.
What?
His name is Scar, son of Hulk. So I don't think that happened in this one, but you know, maybe we weren't there the whole time.
Did Bruce,
That's crazy.
did Bruce Banner have a son?
No,
or did
the Hulk had a son.
The heck?
So that
I don't want to know.
So that
So
kid
when
came out
Andre was
Hulk.
trying to explain to me like the Hulk and Banner are separate entities even though they're together, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking like, can't Banner just like force himself out? But I guess not.
Well, not anymore. I think
No.
that he kind of explains that in this movie a little bit, but not.
Yeah.
It's
To the-
like
It's like he was like on the back seat.
It's like when the Hulk is not out, he's like trapped inside of all of Banner's cells or whatever. And
Yeah.
then when the Hulk comes out, all those cells explode with gamma radiation, and he balloons up all nice and big.
It's kind of crazy.
You know.
Are we correct in saying that he became the Hulk because he was trying to recreate the Captain America serum using gamma radiation?
Yes. Yes, I believe. Well, I mean, that isn't the original way that it happened in the comics. In the comics, they were just doing experiments with like gamma radiation for like nuclear warheads, I think.
But in the
And he-
MCU,
But in the MCU,
Yeah, that's
they
what
say,
he's
huh?
yes,
doing.
that's what was happening.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so we start this movie. Even the way this movie starts is so funny. So Thor is fighting off
He's trapped.
Sultar.
He's trapped on Muspelheim, Yes, and he's fighting Surtur.
Surtur. I said Solter.
Well,
Surtur.
so the
Sulfur.
Sulfur.
the literal first thing you see is Thor narrating, stuck in a cage, and you're like waiting to see who he's talking to, because at first it seems like he's just talking to us, but then it's like, no, he's talking to someone, and he's talking to a skeleton. So then you think to yourself, like, has he been in there long enough for that person to become a skeleton?
To have died.
or is he just like in there trapped with a
So
skeleton? And then promptly he falls in chains,
Yes.
thousands of feet, maybe, I don't know,
It's a long chain.
long chain, and has his conversation with Surtur, which is probably
As
the
he's
funniest.
Which
thing.
is
Spinning
so
around.
funny because he's slowly spinning. And if you've ever been hanging from a rope, that sounds weird, like a rope swing or a tire
Yeah.
swing. They do that where they just like slowly turn, and you're like, wait, what? So he's like spinning on the chains. He's like, hold on, I can't see you. Like trying to turn around. And even Surtur is getting mad, like, ugh. Puny god.
Surtur explains that he's about to bring about Ragnarok, and that
Which is a prophecy from Asgard.
Yeah, it's Ragnarok. I think literally translates to the end of all things. So he's saying it's inevitable. It's happening. There's nothing you can do to stop it. And then
I'm coming to mess up Asgard.
And then Thor is like, "Well, I'm gonna stop it." And then he beats up Surtur basically,
Yeah.
and all of his horde of little minion thingy majigs.
Yeah.
Medina.
Then he goes. He needs a quick out, right? So he's trying to tell Heimdall to like get him out, but it's not Heimdall.
He's being chased by a dragon.
It's this other. What's the other dude's name?
Scourge.
Scourge. Thank
Probably
you.
the funniest little guy.
So Scourge is the gatekeeper right now, and he brings Thor up. And Scourge is hilarious because he's showing like these two girls all of his things that he
This is my stuff.
collected. What does he call his guns?
Des and Troy.
Troy.
And you put them together, they destroy.
I get him from a place called Texas on Midgard.
That's awesome.
Texas.
Just too funny. He's like, Heimdall had the wrong idea with this
Okay,
Bifrost
and I
thing.
also need to know, when was the last time we saw Thor before this movie? What was he doing?
Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Ultron.
What happened?
Which was
fought-
2 years
at the end of
ago.
They fought Ultron.
2 years prior to this.
Yes, 2 years
timeline.
prior, and then after
And Loki died.
Loki died in Thor 2. They
Yeah.
died.
He died a while ago.
He faked his death in Thor 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. And you see at the end of that movie that he has replaced Odin, and you're not sure what happened. But yeah,
In reality, Matt Damon died.
the last time we saw Thor, he was saying that he was going to go on a search for, I believe, the Infinity Stones. Like, he was going to go out into the cosmos and look for him. And
Okay.
whatnot. It's been 2
So
years.
he's
Which
been
is, it's kind
quote-unquote
of
out
crazy
there.
that he
Yeah.
like hasn't been back to Asgard for like 2 years. So he's like very surprised to find out that Loki's not dead and took over Odin's reign in this. I'm laughing at the play.
So he runs up, right? Well, this is actually one of
flies
the...
in.
Yeah, he flies in, like, using his hammer, and Scourge is supposed to tell...
Like, announce.
Hang on, I have to
Odin
announce you.
that he's coming, but unfortunately, Scourge has to run while Thor flies.
Thor flies.
Anywho, so Thor runs up on this play, and it's literally a play reenacting how Loki, quote-unquote, died. And it's hilarious because it's all, like, the best part of, you know...
It's the exact scene from Thor 2, but it's...
They're
from
making
Loki's
fun of
point
it
view,
hardcore.
like making it...
Matt Damon is playing Loki, and it's just ridiculous. And then Chris Hemsworth's brother, other Hemsworth, he's playing
Liam?
Thor. No, it's not Liam.
No,
Oh, the
not
other one.
The
It's
cute
the
one,
other
the
one.
not look good-looking one.
It's the Westworld one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the older but shorter brother.
Yeah.
He's
Brother
shorter.
three?
Yeah.
Matt Damon goes, I'm sorry about that thing with the Tesseract. I just couldn't help myself. And then Thor is like, so mischievous.
So much.
When he finally dies, he's like, ugh. And then the Thor goes, no!
And then a little kid who's like painted blue runs up on the on a rock, and they're like, it was just a little blue icicle when I
Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Fantastic.
So freaking funny,
Just
man.
so good. And meanwhile, Loki Odin is over there eating like grapes or
Grapes,
whatever.
and he's like, yes. Basically, that's what he's thinking.
mouthing the lines of the play.
I didn't do it for you.
And then Thor shows up.
And
like-
Thor immediately calls his bluff.
And he's like, oh.
yeah, because Odin would never do that, like hop up and like skip away, like, oh.
Thor, you're back. Oh, hey.
Thor.
Nice to see you, son.
It's fine. He calls his bluff, but then I feel so bad because the people of Asgard are like, what? Like, the people of... I kind of was thinking this the whole movie, that the people of Asgard are kind of stupid because, like, just things happen right under their noses.
Yeah, they've just been letting Loki rule the entire
For
time.
2 years.
Nobody figured that out, made a giant Loki statue. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Odin.
funny because it kind of sounds like he's been kind of like, in some ways, he's been like a good Asgardian king for the last 2 years.
Yeah, it seems like they've been
'Cause
fine.
everyone seems like they're fine.
Well, they're fine there on Asgard,
Right,
but
but
in
he's
the
not
other
doing-
9 realms, is
yeah,
not,
he ain't
nothing
doing his
happening.
duties elsewhere.
No, he's not supposed to do what he's been doing, but it's fine. He calls...
But at least for Asgard, he's been a good king.
He calls his bluff, and then he immediately is like, "Where's Odin?" And Loki straight up took Odin and like put him under a hypnotic spell or whatever, and put him in an old people home on Midgard. So rude,
Shady
Loki.
Acres.
But I'm sorry, but these are just reasons why I love Loki because he's so ridiculous.
The best part is they show up on the street corner where Shady Acres is promptly being demolished.
It's
She's
just
like,
gone.
I don't know. I left him right here. Like on the corner or where the building's being.
But it's fine because, Doctor Strange intercepts them, which I love because I love Doctor Strange.
God.
And I think the movie that came out before this one was Doctor Strange, I want to say.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, the post-credit
Yes.
scene in Doctor Strange was the scene of
Which,
him talking to
listeners,
Thor
if you
in this
haven't
movie.
already been following us on Instagram and saw Emily post the deleted scene, go watch it because that's
Oh, from
good
Doctor
too.
Strange.
From Doctor Strange, yes.
Luis found that and I was like, okay, all of a sudden he has a heart for dogs. He doesn't like people. He's like me. I like
likes-
animals.
Oh,
but
Emily
not
likes Doctor Strange now.
people.
I don't know if he has a heart. He was quite asking for his insurance information so he could get paid. So, let's not jump the gun.
Anyways,
Sign this.
I love Doctor Strange, how he literally just hops in and throws Loki like in a portal
and just lets him go.
and gives Thor a beer and is like, listen, like, what do I have to do to get you to
Hold on.
take?
Hold on. Let's
What?
backtrack. You're missing probably the funniest
Oh, no.
moment
What
of the
part?
entire movie. Okay.
When he says they
So-
have wizards here?
No. So
Oh.
that's not even that is funny. But like, just you see the immense power that Doctor Strange has, and kind of gets you thinking, man, no one can mess with them if you really kind of think about it. But anyways,
I love
let's
that.
not get into that idea. But pretty much, he drops a card on the concrete. Thor picks it up, and it's the address to Doctor Strange's place. So he shows up. And like before you know it, he's over there knocking, and he's already inside. Like,
Which is amazing.
What just happened? And then Doctor Strange is over there talking to him. He does his joke about like
Wizards here on
Earth
Midgard.
has wizards no, it's like sorcerer. But anyways, and then like before Thor could get another word out, he's moved again, and he's sitting on the couch, and he's like,
Oh,
"Well,
sloshing
what are
the
you doing
beer."
here?" I'm the one who's in charge of who comes to these realms, and Loki is not on that list. And then he's like, well, we're looking for my father. And it's like, do you want them to drink? Sorry, he had mentioned, do you want them to drink? And he has a tea in his hand. He's like, not tea.
I don't
And
drink
then,
tea.
but before he puts his hand down, it's beer. And then he says, I'm looking for my father. And then he's like, so if I help you find your father, you'll probably leave. And as they're conversing, he's drinking his beer, puts his beer back down, it fills up. And then as soon as he says, yes, I'll leave, he's automatically transported again. He's like losing his bearings, spilling his beer.
That
And
poor
then,
beer.
Well, that's why I love Doctor Strange because he doesn't care. He's like, okay, let's
I
get
don't
this
think
going.
I've ever seen Luis laugh so hard though because
For that scene,
because
yeah.
it's so funny to watch like Thor, like powerful, strong God, getting like wrenched
Just
around.
messed up.
Yeah, because
not
Doctor
ragdoll.
Strange is the strongest one out of all of them, in my opinion.
Well, and I
In
think
terms of
just
his
like
power.
the art of
Strongest Avenger.
Well, it's like the art of misdirection. Like how well you can get like
Yeah.
confused by getting
Jeez.
smacked
Freaking
around
Loki,
by-
I've been falling for hours.
30 minutes.
Oh, 30 minutes. Sorry. Whatever.
But yeah, I just loved how like pretty much Thor was just like getting vertigo left and right from Doctor
Constantly.
Strange, and he was like getting irritated about it too.
I thought it was also funny that Thor's hammer was an umbrella for like that whole
Oh
scene.
yeah, that's
he had it like disguised.
a callback to the comics. Because in the comics, Thor has like a secret identity. When he's on Earth, he can like slam his hammer on the ground and it turns into a cane. His beard and long hair disappear into short hair, and he becomes Dr. Donald Blake. And he's just pretends he's a doctor.
Mm.
Well, he does pretend he's I guess he has a degree or something like that. I don't know. But he goes around helping people, and then when he turns back into Thor, he slams it back into the ground.
That's
And
hilarious.
it turns back into the
Interesting.
hammer.
And I think one of the funniest parts in that scene was when he's like, I just need a strand of your hair to create the spell to get you to Thor. He's like, you will not begin. It's like, oh. Then he pulls out a big chunk of his hair.
It's just all
Poor
of the
Thor.
little tiny things in this movie are just so funny. I mean, just the one-liners.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like,
Constantly.
Oh, I can tell. Let's go around and say our favorite one-liners right now. I know mine off the top of
oh,
my
I
head.
don't know my favorite, but
Oh,
one
I
of
know
mine
it.
is when they're standing on that street corner and he's like, Loki's like, I can't see the future. I'm not a witch. And then Thor's like, well, then why do you dress like him? And he looks
so mad.
so mad. He's just like, with his big old nose and his greasy black hair. Like,
Yes,
you
but
look
I
like
love
a
him
witch.
and his greasy black hair and that black suit.
Oh,
We're-
for
Saying,
sure.
We
I
were
love
watching
it.
the movie, and Michelle was like, Loki is so hot in this movie. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I was like, you like
Whatever.
Snape looking dudes. You just like
Somebody's
dudes
still
that
in
look
the
like
real.
Snape.
Somebody's still in
Oh,
the
like
high school
Snape-looking
stage.
dudes. I told Andre he kind of looks like Skrillex.
Yeah,
So-
Snape looking dudes.
I'm just gonna throw it out there which I don't disagree. Loki is very
Attractive.
in comparison to other movies.
Sure.
Much more attractive in this movie.
I like him better
But-
like Loki than how he looks in real life.
Well, it's funny because he's like the farthest away from Andre looking I could possibly like. You. It's like if you could pick the
fine.
person who looks least
Hey,
like
you know what?
Andre.
He was looking at Kate Blanchett, so we're even.
Bro, we
But
haven't gotten to
my-
Hella yet, okay?
My favorite one-liner
Hella fine,
from this
what?
movie. I'm just gonna say my favorite one-liner now because I gotta get it out.
Get
Is
it out.
when freaking Thor and the Hulk
I-
are fighting, and he picks up. They're trying to do the hand thing, but the sun's getting low or whatever. And the Hulk picks him up and starts smacking him around, and Loki gets up so quick. He's like, "That's how it feels!" Like literally.
That's what it feels like.
Oh my god, I was dying.
I
Oh,
made the
no.
baby cry. You
Oh,
ready?
no.
We made the baby cry.
Oh,
My
that was a
funniest-
fun cry.
That's what it feels like.
My most favorite
That was good.
one-liner is when Loki and Thor are going down in the elevator, and Loki says something, and then Thor replies, and Loki's like, "What, brother? Did you think so low of me?" And then Thor's like, "No, I thought the world of you, brother."
Mhm.
That's my favorite.
That's your favorite one-liner?
That's sad.
There was
An
no
emotional one-liner.
there was no title. Just said, "What's your favorite one-liner?"
Okay, well, I meant
That's
funny,
what it
but
Mine
you
is,
know.
you didn't
Luis made
specify.
it,
Mine is
emotional.
You didn't specify.
Hey, piss off, ghost.
That was funny.
Piss off, Ghost.
That was
He's
funny.
freaking gone.
I also kind of like when he walks into Valkyrie's room and he grabs a can and throws it at his head. He's like, I had to make sure.
Okay, yeah. So from-
Okay, we could talk about this movie all day,
I'll
but
do my one-liner later because I'm still trying to figure out like which one-liner is my favorite.
that's what it
There's so
feels
many
like.
moments.
So we go from
Piss
Doctor
off,
Strange's place.
Freaking gone.
He gets rid of them. He sends them off to Norway, where Odin has been. He broke Loki's spell, went there to just hang out in his
yeah, and
opinion.
Odin drops a bomb, dude. He's like, listen, I'm dying, basically.
Number 1, dying.
You have a sister.
Number 2, sister.
She's gonna take over
Number 3,
Asgard.
she's crazy evil.
and she's super strong, so good luck.
Number 4, you're no match. Good luck.
in this
much.
moment, I kind of feel for Thor because he probably is like the major time that he like actually feels betrayed by Odin, and Loki's just like, great, here we go again, right? Because Loki's been lied to from
Yeah,
Odin before, but
Mhm.
Thor is like what? So he blames it on Loki, of course. He's like, that's your fault. But not, dude, your dad had a daughter that he didn't even tell you about, which is kind of insane. And as soon as he dies, she immediately shows
She
up.
appears as soon
And
as
I know her
his
name
spell
is
broken.
Hella, but she's hella cool.
Yes,
Like, she
you add an L and she hella cool.
hella
Hella.
cool.
Good looking.
Oh.
Well, it's so funny because
It's Kate Blanchett.
The way that they portray her, and like, how old is Kate Blanchett? Like,
Probably in her
40-something,
50s,
right? 50?
honestly. Let me see.
which I get that she has to be older than Thor or Chris Hemsworth, like in actual years. But like,
She's 50.
I go back and forth in this movie thinking she looks really good for her age
Mhm.
and looking like old.
It's
Right.
when they put the headpiece on, she looks older.
Oh, that must be it. Because sometimes I'm like, oh, she looks really young, and then sometimes I'm like, oh.
It's
I don't
when
know,
they put the
even-
headpiece on is when I feel like she was looking.
And her
older.
makeup goes through like some transformations.
Yeah.
Like when
Yeah.
she's first showing up, she looks all haggard and like she's been locked up for.
I think
thousands
she
of
starts
years.
looking. Well, yeah.
But
I
honestly,
think
for thousands of years, not too bad.
Like, girl, you looking not too shabby. For
she
like,
probably
Right.
starts looking
Having-
younger when
Just
she's
need a brush.
in Asgard because that's where she like draws her power
Yes.
from or whatever. But her powers
eye
are
makeup
really
starts
cool,
looking better.
which I was trying to break down exactly what her powers are. So we know that she is the goddess of death.
Truth.
Um,
Knives.
Louise helped.
yeah, but she
It's
can basically just
knives.
conjure them.
That's
like
what Louise said. Yeah.
she just conjures them, like she can throw them.
Yeah.
Knives
You know,
are her power.
any size, any shape, any
Yes.
whatever. And it seems like
Any
honestly,
speed.
she just was setting fire to things real quick too.
I don't know about the fire, but the conjuring of the knives, just infinite, is pretty freaking amazing.
And well, I saw her getting stabbed multiple times in the
Yes.
stomach, and it was not affecting her
Yes.
because she's the goddess of death.
You want me to
So
read
I'm
her?
pretty sure she's like
She's already
indestructible.
I
I
well,
don't think she's already
I
dead.
don't think. I don't even know if she could be killed. Well, I guess.
I
she
don't
can.
know.
But
I'm thinking of her like Hades, like she rules death.
I'm trying to read her.
She's
Powers.
cool though.
Give me her IMBD.
These are her powers and abilities from Wikipedia. Now I think this is like comics.
Okay, but break it down.
Let's see here.
Josh Brolin's in love.
She's got regular Asgardian, superhuman strength, speed, stamina, agility, and durability. She has vast mystical powers, which she can use for various effects like limitless astral projection while retaining many of her powers and abilities, firing deadly bolts of energy from her hands, which can age or even kill Asgardians. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because I remember when she says like something about like a blind man, and she just taps Thor's eye, and it's like gone.
Well, she slashed
She
it out.
slashed it
Pretty
out
sure.
She
with a.
slashed it out with a knife.
Yeah, she
Oh, I
like,
missed
she like
that.
knifed up and
She like got a
She
toothpick.
skewered it.
Went to the little cheese cube platter and got a cheese cube and ate it,
Gross.
just
I
like
mean, she
that.
didn't put it in her mouth, but she.
Well, I mean, that's how
metaphysically.
you
Anyways,
do it.
continue.
gross.
Gross.
As a death goddess, Hela has a pact with death, allowing her to claim the souls of any worshipper of the Asgardians and the Asgardians themselves and take them to Hell or Niflheim, as well as able to travel nearly anywhere within the 9 worlds in an instant. Wow, this is cool.
Then why did she need the sword so bad?
Because she wanted.
once again, this
she-
what I'm reading is all comics
Well,
powers.
plus
this
she
is, this
still
isn't
would
her.
have to take her crazy army with her.
No, yeah.
This isn't her movie powers. Actually, I wonder if
They alternated.
her movie powers are in here.
Louis, you need to talk into your mic, sweets.
Yeah, true.
Well, you can't
Use-
talk straight to her when
Use
we're on
that
a
mic.
podcast.
Let me see
Powers
if the movie version is in here at all. No, this just goes
yeah, but he's
through.
ad-libbing.
In the film, as with the comics, Hela is portrayed as a formidable combatant. She is skilled with her necro sword and is able to summon more blades of all descriptions from within her cloak and accelerate them rapidly towards targets.
Yeah, that's like what she was doing in the movie.
In addition to being agile and physically powerful, she uses these abilities to swiftly defeat Thor and Loki and slaughter the Valkyries and later the Einherjar and the Warriors 3 with little effort.
So she's good at darts.
She's great
Pretty
at
much.
darts.
She's fantastic.
Oh man,
Dude,
just
she
all
was
day.
skewering
Bullseye,
so
bullseye,
many
bullseye,
people.
Bullseye.
I was thinking in my head, like when she's fighting the army on Asgard, I'm like, that's just her.
So who's better, her or Hawkeye? Probably her. Just
Oh,
because
her.
She's confident.
Yeah.
She was like
What
taking
about
down
let's
planes.
bring
She
in
never runs out of
Bullseye.
arrows.
Let's bring in Bullseye to this combo.
Who's Bullseye?
I don't know who
Bullseye is a Daredevil villain. That
Oh, I thought Bullseye was the horse from Toy Story.
It
So
is
did
also
I.
that. but
ride
that's a
like the
different
wind,
universe.
Bullseye. Get away from Daredevil. Yeah, she also pops Mjolnir like it's a balloon.
Oh, that's true.
She just breaks it in
Dude,
a hot sec.
pull Mjolnir, Mjolnir,
Meow, meow.
Mjolnir.
Meow, meow.
Freaking Korg when Thor's talking about the loss of his hammer and he's like, So what you're saying is, it sounds like you had an intimate relationship with this hammer, and I don't know, something
And the
about
loss of it-
grieving.
Okay,
There's a
no.
kid
Before
to the
that,
loss of a loved one.
he's trying to explain what's going on. He's like, no, I just wave my hammer, and my hammer just pulls me.
It pulls me off the ground.
Your
He's
hammer
like-
pulls you?
Oh
dude.
my god, the hammer pulled you
Oh,
off.
like off the ground? You fly on it? Oh.
So you ride the
You ride the
the
hammer?
It's
Oh no, the hammer rides you.
Yeah, no, but never mind.
Yes, no, we get
We
it.
get the
Louis.
joke,
Get it.
Louis.
No, we do. We're a family podcast.
So Hela
So
kicks,
what you're saying is.
Hela kicks some butt. She beats up Thor and Loki pretty handily, and then
Then they're on Sakaar.
Loki calls Heimdall to take them away in the Rainbow
Bifrost,
Bridge,
'cause
the
he's a
Bifrost,
stupid.
and she beats them up in there too.
She literally rides it and is like, bye.
She kicks Loki out, and then
Yeah, and they're on Sakaar.
and then kicks Thor out.
You know, it's funny because the first time that I watched this movie, it was hard for me to get kind of what was happening just because it was so kind of fantastic, like so
Yes.
much light and so much like you know when they go into the Bifrost, or is that what they call that part of it too?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
going
that's
up into it.
Bifrost.
It's so sparkly and stuff that I was like, what just happened? Everyone just kind of fell.
They're
So
just
she
gone
like
now.
kicked out Loki first,
Yes.
which is kind of important. She kicked him out like maybe 15 seconds or so before.
And this is Bifrost seconds, so it's
Right.
like microseconds or whatever.
Right.
You know?
So then she kicks, or Thor falls out, I guess, and he ends up on this planet, Sakaar. And so we're thinking, like, I guess in our timeline, like, it's not that big of a deal. But because of either the Bifrost time or Sakaar time or
Yeah.
all of it put together,
Right.
it's
Might
been
just be like space time too.
Right. It's been a couple weeks difference between when Loki got there and when Thor got there. So that's
Right.
kind of important because
Just nuts.
a lot can happen in a couple weeks, and as we see with Loki.
Yes. Loki gets all schmoozy.
So it's really funny to me. So I know Luis loves the part when the Valkyrie is first, or the what is it? What do they call her?
Scrapper 142.
Scrapper. I want to call her Scavenger.
Same thing, right?
When the Scrapper first pops up, Louis.
She's funny. She's awesome. I like how she's coming down for business, and then she falls because she's not in the right state of mind.
She is not sober at all.
She is
She
super
has
intoxicated.
a problem. She gets there and immediately falls off the platform. Then she hops back up and sticks her hand in a dead animal or whatever.
Oh, that is so disgusting.
No, she was using that as a way to get up, and
She
just
was like
falls
pushing
through.
herself off of it.
Nasty.
Hand just goes through its chest cavity or whatever.
It's super funny because she is actually, regardless of if she's sober or super intoxicated, she's pretty amazing.
Oh, she's
Yeah.
awesome.
And she has a lot of cool tech, which is really cool.
She got them gadgets.
Yeah, so like in the first thing that we really see her do is like attach her little arm gauntlet type things, and it controls the guns
On her ship.
So she can just pull her arms up and start moving her arms, and it literally just shoots the you know what out of people.
Mows
It's
them
like
down.
movie Avatar.
Oh. Like the mechs.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, she's pretty cool, but she puts out Zapper on Thor and just takes him away.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I was like, I told Andre, I was like, did they need to put the slow motion scene of Valkyrie, like, slowly pulling Thor away on the ground and then smushing his face on the ship?
Well, actually, like we saw that scene and it was funny that she was dragging away. And you mentioned that it was in slow motion. And then I read later that Valkyries, like in the mythology, they are actually the ones who lead warriors to Valhalla, like after they've died or whatever. So I think her kind of just dragging Thor across the ground is kind of like an homage to her.
Oh,
Drifting
okay,
I
that
think
makes
it's
sense.
important though. See, I thought of it a total different way. I think it's important because it's showing you immediately that like she's not a normal just chick. She's not just some random person because
Well,
even
she's
if we
super
were
strong.
There was no way that we would be able to pull Thor.
No,
Right,
she's
yeah.
I
super
feel
strong.
like he's probably
He's dense.
a couple 100 pounds.
I mean, she
versus
drank
just-
a whole bottle of whiskey and it didn't affect her. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's
he's,
true.
He's like 350 pre-Endgame, you know?
Oh well, yeah, but
Oh,
I even
geez.
think that because he's a god, he's even heavier than
Right,
that.
yeah,
Like
okay.
he's
Yeah.
just like Mjolnir. Like,
Yeah.
how are you gonna move
True.
it? You know what I mean?
Dense.
Yeah, and it then comes my second favorite part of the movie is Thor wakes up on a chair. It's so funny. Thor wakes up on a chair and the chair just starts
That was
moving.
funny.
And it's like, it almost sounds like Sigourney Weaver. Like, it's just like this robot voice, like,
And they're
hello.
playing the freaking
You have
Willy
been found
Wonka
in
song.
your imagination. I cannot stop. God, every time we watch that scene, I'm dying
It's
laughing.
very
It's
funny.
so
amazing.
ridiculous.
And they're just explaining the world of Sakaar.
You
and
are the property of the Grand
the
Master.
Grand Master.
You are going to meet the Grand Master.
You are now meeting the Grand Master.
Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself.
And then he's there and
And
screaming.
he's screaming.
Oh, it's so funny. And the Grand Master is also just freaking
I
hilarious.
think that's why I couldn't give you my favorite one-liner earlier, because some of his one-liners are
Oh
my
my
favorite.
goodness.
Because
Oh,
he's
it's
so,
getting on me. Ugh.
he's so like disturbed by other people and other things when he is actually very disturbing.
He
Yeah.
is. He
Oh.
melts that dude, and he's just like, "Oh, look, it's disgusting.
He's
It's getting
so
on
I
me."
funny.
love how
He
he's
goes-
like, he talks to his like number one in command lady, who's
Topaz.
super mean, Topaz.
She's a
And
weirdo.
He's talking to the Valkyrie, and he's like, every time I talk about you, you know, I call you a word starting with B, and he looks at her like
Topaz,
tell her
what
what
is
it
it?
is, and he obviously wants her to say she's the best, and she's like a booze hag. And
Trash.
And
He's like, "No,
you were just waiting to say that, weren't you? No, it's the best.
You're the best.
Obviously.
At one point he goes, yeah, time works differently here on Sakaar. You know, technically I've been alive for millions of years, but here...
he just doesn't say
He
anything."
just like shifts his eyes all.
And what's that guy's name in real life?
Jeff Goldblum.
He's
hilarious.
He's the best. I love Jeff
and
Goldblum.
he's supposed to be the brother of the Collector, right?
Yes.
They're both
Which is
weirdos
funny because they're both super eccentric
and weirdos
and,
Mhm.
and weird.
But that's because they're ancient, you know? And I think if you've just been alive for that long, your brain
be
just
super
starts
weird.
doing different stuff. And you're
Both
operating on
of
other
them were
levels.
alive when Ego was also alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. The living planet.
They're all a bunch of weirdos.
Yeah.
God, I love it
I
though.
think I
Beings.
like the Grandmaster more. He's very
He's
funny.
just my favorite part too is when he's taking Thor on the thing and Thor's stuck, and he just goes to the piano and starts playing. He's like, "Nar, nar, 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 nar." like playing like synth music.
Yeah, he's
What is
DJing,
going
man.
on? This
Why not?
freaking weirdo.
Oh,
It's
goodness.
ridiculous.
So silly.
So the Grandmaster lets us know that he is the proprietor of the Contest of Champions, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Wherein his champion lays waste to all warriors who come to face him
And the only way Thor can earn his freedom.
is by defeating the champion.
I also like when his lady Topaz calls them slaves, and he's like, "Oh, I just don't like that."
I don't like that word.
Call them prisoners with jobs. yeah, that's better. Okay.
That's better. Yeah. Amazing. Incredible.
It's really stupid, but it's so funny.
also-
Meanwhile, Loki's there.
Yes.
He's been there for 2 weeks longer than Thor, and he basically swindled
Because
his
of timey-wimey.
Mm-hmm.
timey-wimey stuff and swindled his way into the Grand Master's good graces. So he's all right there. He's doing okay.
Thor's like, "Where's your chair?" He's like, "I didn't get a chair."
And you know why? It's because he doesn't look like he can fight.
No.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
no.
So even if he showed up in the same exact place as Thor, he just finessed his way
Yeah.
out of whatever
Yeah,
situation.
he
He
for
didn't
sure
just
did.
start fighting. He
Also, in
doubled
this
himself
movie,
or whatever.
Thor and Loki are really, in my mind, just bickering brothers.
Right.
Like, the
Oh, for
whole
sure.
time.
Their
like,
brother
in their
relationship
own
is
weird godlike way.
great.
But gosh, they're just, I can get it. Where's your chair?
You know, it's so
I'm
interesting
not gonna
because
help you out.
because like, you know, the Grandmaster and the Collector, they're ancient beings and they're brothers. But like Thor and Loki are both like 1,500 years old themselves, so they have similar kinds of tendencies. And when I think about them like growing up together, I forget that it's not just been like 32 years or
Yeah.
whatever. It's been hundreds of thousands of years. And
You know how
whatnot.
long they put up with each other's crap.
Yeah,
That's a
exactly.
lot. And it's funny too because Thor was awful in the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
So
not
he
like,
had been like
Loki had a reason to hate him.
Right, yeah.
And Loki
And
was
play
in
snake
the
pranks
rear.
on him.
So they
They're
definitely
both
had a
were.
reason
They're
to hate
both.
each other.
They're both It's just ridiculous. But it's so funny. Anyway, so Thor is like, I'm going to get out of here, right? He's like, take me to the battle place. They throw him in this like circular room, and this is where we're introduced to
Korg.
Hello, my name's Korg.
Me. Yep, this pile of rocks over here. I'm an actual thing.
That was good, man.
That was really good.
He's so funny.
And I love when Thor's like, can you even be destroyed? And then like one little rock falls off him. He's like, oh, yep, there goes one.
There goes another one.
Goes another one.
Korg is played by Taika Waititi, the director of this film.
Oh,
and
my God.
he did all the voices and the motion capture for it. So he was fully in the movie. And
So
Good
funny.
for him.
yeah, it's just fantastic. That dude, he's directed a couple of other movies, Taika Waititi.
He's going to direct Thor 4.
Yes. News coming out this week that Taika Waititi is back for Thor 4.
Cool.
4.
Thor 4. That's
Thor.
really...
I mean, that's not really what it's going to be called, but you know.
It should be. Thor 4.
Just Thor
Thor 4.
Thor 4.
Thor 4.
The fourth Thor.
Andre and I were placing bets if he's going to be fat in that one or not.
God. No.
We'll see. So he meets Korg. Korg tells him that everything here doesn't make any sense. It's all weird. It's not a real cycle. It's like a freaky cycle.
Well, it's just that whole place is weird based on where it's located, you know? With all the wormholes.
Yeah, it just doesn't
and, like,
follow the laws of physics at all. So he takes Thor to the weapons room. That's where they talk about the hammer pulling him off, and then and then
Do you want this stick thing with 4 spikes? It's like you can be next to a vampire and stick them all.
3 vampires if they're huddled together.
Yes, they're huddled together.
Also, the reason Korg is there is so stupid. So he said on his planet he tried to start a revolution, but he didn't print enough pamphlets, and only 2 people showed up: his mom and someone else. And so as punishment,
His
they
mom and his
banned him
stepdad,
here.
who he hates.
Didn't he say his mom and his boyfriend?
Yeah, my mom and a
Oh, his
boyfriend.
boyfriend who
Oh, I
hate.
hate.
Who I
And then they stranded him. They put him there because they were disappointed in him.
But he's ready to start another revolution.
He's not even like that good of a fighter, so he like amps up the crowd.
Yeah, he
goes
just
out
does
these
warm-up
pre-shows.
fights.
Oh my god!
I love Korg. And his best mate, Meek, who's just like a little weirdo.
like
with
Meek. Meek's a weirdo.
Swords for hands.
And lays egg things.
Yeah.
Hey, you laying
Basically
eggs
a
or something?
scyther.
Like fish eggs. Yeah, technically like
Oh,
a
yeah.
scyther.
Yeah,
like
he
a-
does kind of look like a scyther. Huh?
Yeah, bug with knives. So then
funny.
Thor is taken to fight the champion. His hair gets cut by a Stanley cameo.
No.
Please, sir, don't cut my hair.
And they're like, "Oh, by the might of Thor, you will not cut my hair. Oh, please, kind sir, please don't cut my hair.
They cut his hair.
I
And
like his hair short. It looks better.
Oh yeah, I think we all agree.
It was getting greasy, grimy, nasty.
It's so interesting because like before the movie came out, I think the trailer showed that he had a haircut, and I was like, "What? What do you
what
do to
Louise
Thor's
said.
hair?"
Yeah.
I was
we all
mad.
said that, and now I'm like, I love
Upset.
Thor's short hair.
Yeah, short hair
Keep it
Thor.
short.
Wait,
Sure,
doesn't
bro.
he let it grow out again?
Yeah.
And-
He does. Yeah, it is long right now. That's true.
No, but it's cute, short.
It's better short.
It's cute.
And
got his-
he's real excited to fight, you know, because when the grand champion comes out, he finds out it's his friend from
You're
work.
Incredible.
I know him from work. Loki, look.
Oh yeah. Also,
It's the Hulk.
Loki hadn't gotten to see a champion fight yet, and I guess the couple weeks he was there, so he did not know that the Hulk was on the same
Oh,
planet.
poor Loki's just up there like, oh my
I have to get off this
God.
planet.
Uh,
Fantastic. Hulk fights because no banner, only Hulk,
No banner, only Hulk.
and they go toe to toe, and it's cool because
It's a good fight.
Thor doesn't have Mjolnir, right? And before this, he's had it the
Watch out
entire
for those
time,
sparkle
right?
hands.
Watch out for his hands; they sparkle.
Lord of Thunder too.
Lord of Thunder.
It's God of Thunder.
And so Thor has been fighting without Mjolnir for a fresh amount of time. He has a couple other weapons. He's using like 2 swords and like a little nubby hammer thing, and he's still holding his own against the Hulk, which kind of surprised me, just
Yeah.
strictly from a movie perspective, having not seen him not fight without Mjolnir.
Well, and he's finally learning his true power.
But I think, well, and this was a conversation Luis and I had while we were watching it, is that I just kind of had to understand on my own that everyone, obviously not stupid eye patch dad, but everyone else thought that he, of course he's Asgardian, he's strong, he's everything, but his source of power was channeled and kind of came from
the
Mjolnir.
hammer, yeah.
And we learned that that's not
Not the
really
case.
the case.
The hammer says on the side of it, it said, "Whosoever holds this hammer shall have the power of Thor." So it's not that Thor gets hammer's powers. It's that like hammer helps with Thor powers.
Help with Thor powers.
Help Thor powers.
It's almost like, Dad Odin was like, oh,
Stupid eye patch.
you
Dad.
know,
Eye patch.
toddler Thor, before you're able to, harness your powers, i.e. ride a bike, here's training wheels.
It's like the training wheels protocol in the Spider-Man
Oh,
suit.
dude, yeah. Hold this.
Spider-Man.
But that's another interesting thing is that in some imagery that we see later, Hela had been wielding Mjolnir, and this is before Thor was born.
Yep.
So Odin, in his all-seeing godliness, he made a hammer that would hold the powers of his future son, gave it to his daughter, and then when she started acting crazy, took it away from his daughter and gave it to his actual son,
Who it was made for.
who was absolutely
Crazy.
made for and made of.
Hella was hella mad when Hella was hella mad, and she's like, and then they decided to have you.
Yeah.
Thor's like, I don't even know who you are.
Hold on, before I want to talk about that because this is especially watching it back again after like kind of absorbing everything this time.
Mm-hmm.
This part of the movie actually makes the whole Thor Asgardian world much more interesting to me because you learn that like the benevolent Odin is like a big sham,
Right.
Which is really cool
He
actually
was
because why would he be
terrible conqueror?
Right, he was like a really bad dude. Which
Yeah, he used Hela as an executioner because she's the goddess of death, and was like, we're gonna go tear all these other worlds apart, realms.
Which I actually really appreciate because if you think about it, that's kind of how like we do with our history books. Like
Oh,
if you
absolutely.
think about like we'll just use England for example. No offense, just like
No offense, they
conquest,
just conquested the entire world,
you know,
India, Canada.
and then we make it seem like we brought
Yeah.
Christianity or we
Yeah.
did this or well no, there was a lot of other.
I
stuff that
liked when
happened.
she went
There's
to
a
the
lot of death
palace and
happening.
like destroyed the mural on
ceiling,
top,
yeah.
and then the other one came through, and
Yeah.
even that all of those bodies were underground the whole time.
For sure. I think that's what was so cool was that so then she like breaks the ceiling, you kind of see what the history looked like, then she goes down deep into the vault
with the eternal flame.
with the eternal flame, but then you see like the tesseract, you see the gauntlet, and she's like it's fake or it's
all
weak
fake,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Which I'm assuming that gauntlet is fake because that probably hasn't even been done yet.
Well, I mean, the gauntlet has been made, but yeah,
Not
Odin
really.
Odin has a fake one just to show off, basically.
yeah.
For
that's
sure.
that's what that treasure room is halfway for. It's like, here's some actual treasures I got, and then here's some other stuff to make it look like I got more treasures
got
than I
lots
got.
of
I thought it was
Mm-hmm.
put there to tempt Thanos into trying to get it.
Into like coming to Asgard, and
But why would they do that if the tesseract was really there?
Try
Right.
to capture him.
No,
Interesting
I
theory,
thought he
but-
was just trying to show off.
I think
Yeah.
he's just showing off. But the cool thing about the eternal flame is that I mean I didn't know what an eternal flame was, but it like pretty much rebirths, what do you say like
Reborn, reincarnates.
Yeah.
like gives life to dead things. So it rebirthed all of those dead soldiers that
Yep.
she commanded before.
And the big puppy.
And the Fenrir puppy, which is the coolest wolf
I liked
thing.
him.
He's really cool.
He was cool.
And his CGI like looks really good. Like at one point he's just like in the background of a scene, and you can see like the his nose dribbles coming out because he's a dog.
No, it was really well done when he's on the steps right
Yeah.
outside.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I was like, wow, that looks like a real dog.
I like
really
him.
good.
I like the puppy.
It's very nice. Fenris is his name.
Fenris.
Not that that matters, but I called him Fenrir a second.
Fenrir Greyback. That's a different wolf.
Yes. Thank you.
Dude, I thought it was Fenrir too. Yeah, so I agree with you. I find that all very, very interesting and like really cool. That
But the
that's,
one
like-
thing that
Lore heavy.
bothers me about the whole thing is that Thor didn't have even like a second, not even like a millisecond of like, wow, my dad was kind of a bad dude before
Right,
he was
yeah.
a good dude.
He didn't really think about it.
Like-
Because Thor just
I don't know. I
That's
was just
how Thor
hoping that like
is.
he would have at least a little bit of like, wow, my life is a little bit more confusing. But I guess he gets that like you see that more in Infinity
yeah.
War.
Infinity War, yeah.
And Endgame.
Not Infinity War. Endgame.
Endgame.
I guess this is all supposed to be happening pretty fast, so I
Yeah.
guess he doesn't have time.
I mean,
to
think
Yeah.
about that after credit scene. It's like immediate, you
Oh,
know, and all of
God.
this only happened in like one or
And
not
also,
that long.
Thor has been faced with his father's misgivings just a little bit before this. Like he realizes that he had been lied to about Loki the entire time.
That's true.
And that's not his actual brother. He's adopted. And then I think in Thor 2, I barely remember what was happening in Thor 2, but I think some of that stuff comes to light as well, like with Frigga and his wife and some other bad stuff he does. I don't remember. And the Odin sleep.
Oh yeah, Odin sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe he's just not super surprised.
Yeah,
that
that's true.
I just like it. I
Yeah.
think it just gave a lot more depth to the story because Asgardians seemed so like perfect and everything's fabulous. And
Yeah.
I like that there's like kind of a sinister undertone because
Yeah.
a lot of situations in history where things are good right now have sinister undertones to have gotten them there wherever they're at. So it's interesting. I like it.
What if God was one of us?
Oh my God.
OMG. Okay, so after Thor and Hulk battle, Thor wakes up in Hulk's like lair, like he has like his own like mansion, which is legit, and
Sweet
like
room.
the Hulk
Hulk
mansion.
is like living his best life, right? Like he's the
I would not
champion.
want to leave.
He's
Right.
the champion of this planet. Everybody loves him.
Everybody loves
They
Hulk.
celebrate him like 24/7.
And he like has like a pretty cool like pit mansion. Like
Yeah.
he has like his alcohol, he has his bathtub, he has his cool
He's got his
Bed,
bed made out of
dinosaur
a,
bed.
yeah,
I don't
out of a mouth of some kind of creature.
yeah, and then Valkyrie comes and visits him all the time.
Angry girl.
Angry girl.
It makes me think like, do you think she found him?
Uh-huh.
You think?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, she
His
did.
name mentions that.
Because he says it at the
She's-
beginning, like, you brought me my champion, and now you brought me
Yeah.
a contender.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like all that, and I also like that Thor is, he's full of it, right? So he's just like trying to convince the Hulk to help him get off, and he's like, like Earth no like Hulk, and he's like, come on, everybody loves you, I like you better than Banner, and
You just say that. You know Hulk, friend.
you know Hulk friend.
Those were some of my. I laughed so hard. Those
Thor's like
one-liners
a
were
Hulk,
hilarious.
So
yeah, because
funny.
he's like a 3-year-old
Hulk-
baby.
That's what I said. I kept saying like, dude, the Hulk is out of line. Like how he just like,
But that's how he.
no. And his
Oh my
arms-
God! Yes, Andre literally busted up laughing when
That's
he
my
like
favorite
stomped.
one-liner. It's just when Hulk is mad. He goes. He puts his arms
He like
down.
puts his arm down like a
He
little
literally
kid.
looks just like a
Yeah,
child.
and he's supposed to have the mind of like a child.
So
Oh my goodness, I love the Hulk.
That's why this is the best Hulk
And I
movie,
was
dude.
like, don't throw things.
He's like, Hulk's so angry all the time. I was like, oh my
Hulk
God.
like fire.
Like
Thor
raging
like water.
He's like, no, Thor like fire too. No.
No, Thor like smoldering fire. Basically cold fire.
I can't. But eventually he convinces Hulk to kind of help him, I guess, by getting Valkyrie in there. So he wants to talk to Valkyrie, I think partially because she is a Valkyrie, and he kind of is like, come help me, like let's put this team together, but also to get that tracker off of him. Or the zapper thingy,
For
so that
sure.
he can bust out and throw the bowling ball against the window and have him hit it in the face. So funny.
Well, I think
That's what heroes do.
one thing that we missed, and I realized that we're analyzing everything, but
Yeah.
the really cool thing too is the Valkyrie themselves. So we were talking about this before we started recording. The girl doesn't have a name really. Like we kind
Right.
of call her by her title as being
Valkyrie,
a Valkyrie.
yeah.
But apparently they were like an elite
Female
army,
warrior squad.
female force that would go out on behalf of the throne of Asgard and do Odin's bidding. And the
Thor's
last
like, I wanted to be a Valkyrie.
Until I realized they were all women. It's super cool that there's a huge fighting force just for women. It's
Well-
about time.
it's about time. Which is so funny because we think like, oh my God, this little girl, she looks little to me. She looks very small. She looks very like, whatever. And she fights probably just as good no, she's just as good as him.
Right,
I
yeah.
think. But the last time the Valkyrie were deployed was to fight back Hela in whatever jail prison place she was.
Yeah.
And they didn't do a very good job and somehow she
They
still
didn't
ended
make
up
it.
She basically slaughtered all of
She
them.
destroyed them all.
and she got out.
Only because her girlfriend blocked her.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm assuming it was a girlfriend.
yeah.
I think so too.
I believe Tessa Thompson, the actress, has said that Valkyrie is bi, and that's how she plays her and all of that. I'm looking at the comics Wikipedia for the comics Valkyrie, and she's like a super Viking-looking, lady fighter. But her name, her alter ego, is Brunhilde.
Broomhilda.
Brunhilde.
Your dad said Broomhilda the other
I know.
day.
That's why it's crazy. But yeah.
What was your dad using in context to say Broomhilda?
He was talking about our property manager.
Yeah, he was like Broomhilda called.
Broomhilda has a question for you. He was like, oh, okay.
Oh, dang.
Is her name Broomhilda?
No.
Your dad.
I was like, is your dad calling her a witch? Like, dang.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, Broomhilda. So yeah,
I
so
don't like that. I'm going to ignore that. Her name is Valkyrie.
Scrapper
So-
142.
So they end up getting out of the pimp tower.
Yep. They find the Quinjet that
Find the
Hulk showed up
Quinjet.
on.
And he manages to kind of calm Banner down because, it's so funny because he's trying to scan into the Quinjet. And he's like, strongest Avenger, Thor, God of Thunder. Nothing's working. And what does he say finally?
Point Break.
Point Break.
Point Break.
And it
Which I
works.
didn't get. Andre had to explain it to me.
Yeah. And then he pulls up a video of Black Widow talking calmly to the Hulk on his way out.
Which
from
works.
Avengers Age of Ultron. And it totally works on the Hulk. And he finally is taken over by Banner. He shows up naked.
Poor Banner.
Banner hasn't been
I'm
around
in the
for
Hulk
2
for
years.
2 years.
He's had no idea what's been going on.
And he's on another planet.
Complete black. Can you imagine blacking out for 2 years?
And you're on
No.
another
It's
planet.
like a coma.
Well, and the best part of the whole thing is that I never realized it in the other movies as much, but he is like a walking basket case at this point. And it's some of it is because he's been the Hulk for 2 years. I think like it's almost like a endorphins thing, but also he legitimately is like, if I get angry, like I'm afraid I'm gonna turn into the Hulk for real. So I need to be in he pretty much needs to be in like a white room,
Right.
with
I
like
need to
fluffy
be in like
pillows.
uber chill mode, and
Right.
Thor's trying to take me on an adventure right now, and I can't have it.
And he's so upset.
Yeah,
about it
when
because
he gets
has to wear
mad.
Tony Stark's
Tony
Stark's
Stark.
clothes.
he has to wear the Stork's clothing. He's super mad about that.
Hey, he looks good in the clothes.
He actually looks really good. And then he has to go through like these parades of people who love the Hulk. So he's just constantly reminded
Blasted
by
in the face by green paint.
I do like when he's starting to get mad at Thor and you can see like the green veins popping out
Yeah,
on his
that's really
neck. I was like,
cool.
no.
as he's walking as Tony Stark in the Gypsy.
Yeah, Tony Stark with that gypsy. Oh my god! And Thor is
Cover up my face like this.
Thor's trying to help. He keeps going. Sun's getting low. Sun's getting low. It's all fine. Sun's getting low.
so bad. It's so ridiculous.
At the same time, the Grand Masker dude, I'm done.
Grand
Super
Masker.
sober, just tired.
No, we gotta speed this
The
up.
Grand
Yeah,
Masker
already an
pulls
hour
in Valkyrie and Loki and is like, find him because they're gone and I need them. So they pretty much give themselves an hour to go find them.
Yeah.
And Valkyrie
It's fine. Valkyrie traps
beats
Loki.
the
Valkyrie
out of
beats
Loki.
up Loki like real good, and it's very fun to watch.
And the four of them then become
The Revengers.
Yeah, but I love that the Loki's locked up and they're talking about how they're going to be this team. And then they like huddle up right next to Loki and they're like, guys, he did just try to murder us.
He does that
He's
a lot.
So,
does it a lot.
2 years ago, or like 4 years ago, or whatever. Last time I saw you, you were trying to kill everybody. Where are you at right now? It varies from moment to moment.
That's when Thor tells the story. Like, when we were kids, he turned himself into a snake, and he knows I love snakes. I picked up the snakes, and then he turned back into himself and goes, yeah, it was me. And then he stabbed me.
You were at the time.
And that's what I told Andre. I was like, that's weird, like God brother stuff, I guess. And then he stabbed me. Can't wait to have kids, man.
Amazing. Goodness, yeah.
Dude, I hope they're not stabbing
Stabbing each other. after
Turning
the-
into snakes, typical kid stuff.
So they decide that they're going to go up through a wormhole that's using verbiage that I don't want to say or hear again.
Correct.
Which they do, and the reason they know to go up this wormhole is because in the meantime, Thor was kind of able to go through Heimdall's vision to see
Oh,
what's
yeah.
happening in Asgard.
Heimdall's got
And
cool
Heimdall's
powers.
like,
Heimdall's legit.
He's legit, dude. He's taking basically all of the Asgardians to safety, like in a different ancient ruin.
Refugees.
Yeah, and so he tells Thor, like, you got to go through the big wormhole and it'll take you right here, which it does. Like, they get through the wormhole and it literally takes them right to Asgard, which is good. But then they gotta just save a lot of people, and that's hard.
And that's hard.
That's hard.
So they have to steal one of the Grandmaster's ships, and this is probably one of my favorite little interactions is with Thor and Loki. They're in the elevator. That's what Luis was talking about earlier, where they're like contemplating their brotherly relationship.
Maybe we should just never see each other again. Maybe that'd be for the
I
best.
know they're so dramatic. Oh my god, they're
They
both
are.
drama queens.
And Loki looks sad when Thor doesn't want to see him because you can't pick on him anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But it's so funny because they're about to get out of the elevator and get into the room with the actual
Enemies.
and he's like, do you have any plans? No. Let's do Get Help. And he's
We're
like,
Oh my
not
God.
doing Get
I'm
Help.
not doing Get Help. It's so embarrassing. It's humiliating. And then the moment it opens, they're like, Get Help!
My brother.
He freaking chucks
He's
Loki
dying.
at them,
Get
too.
help.
He throws Loki as like a human cannon at the people. He promptly stands up and is like, it's so humiliating.
It's awesome.
I love it. And then later on in the movie, he does the same thing. He's like, what are we going to do? And he's like, we're not doing Get Help. So good. So good.
The fact that they call it Get Help, it just means that they've done it so many
I
times.
know. How many times have they
In the
done
1500 years
Right,
of
Yeah.
to
life.
make that work. I am not doing Get Help.
So Loki tries to betray Thor one last time, and
It fails.
it fails because Thor has
Thor
finally
knows
gotten,
him by now.
gotten the better of him. He puts the little zappy
Thor
thing on his neck.
finally, because Loki always betters Thor. Like, let's
Oh,
be
for
real.
sure.
Because
I mean,
Thor
yeah.
always thinks the world of him, like Louis said.
Well, Loki always outwits Thor, and Thor always beats up Loki.
Yeah.
Right? That's what their relationship has been. But
Yeah,
this
but
time,
the
Thor got
relationship
to
has always
outwit
been
and
to-
kind of beat him up.
Like, Thor always cares much more about Loki than Loki cares about Thor.
Right.
Or at least outwardly shows it.
Yes.
Because I think
Yeah.
Loki cares about him. He just doesn't know
Just
how to
as
show
much.
it.
The only way he shows it is to mess with him.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
his mischievous nature.
As the god of mischief.
Mhm. But you could be more.
And he likes being
Moments.
mischievous.
Yeah. So they get a ship. They start flying it away. They start being chased by the Grandmaster's minions and whatnot. Valkyrie is there. She's helping out. They're fighting. They're
Fine, they get through the wormhole.
They're using the Grandmaster's ship, and they're like, "Doesn't this thing have any weapons?" It's like, no, the Grandmaster just used this for like orgies and stuff. I don't know. Hit the button.
So bad. Don't touch anything. Oh my god.
Don't touch anything in here. They shoot fireworks at all the people, and eventually they make it out. Right? Is there anything else
It
significant?
was a
happen
pretty
in that
good fight scene.
It's a cool scene.
But they
But they make
moved
it out.
through it pretty quickly.
And then it's just like on it, right? So like they're there, they help Korg and them escape so that Korg and them can get on a giant ship so they can bring the giant ship to Asgard to put all of the Asgardians on, basically,
Correct,
right?
yeah.
So they're loading, they get there, they start loading.
which Loki ends up like finagling his way on that ship.
Yeah,
oh my
which
goodness,
is hilarious.
He gets off
Star
of it.
Revolution, you want to get on? Yeah.
And Loki makes his grand entrance later.
Well, yeah, he
What
says
does
he's like,
say?
yeah, it
Hello,
looks like you.
Asgardians.
Your savior is here.
Oh my god, I love it. Well, even when he gets on the ship, he's like, "Yeah, you guys look like you could use some grand leadership." And they're like, "Oh yeah, thanks."
Oh yeah, me and Meek.
So Thor and Hela are confronting one another. They're fighting. Hela takes out an
lot.
eye,
Dude,
which is
Hela cuts out.
Dude,
his
she
eyeball.
destroys him. Like, Hella's hella cool. I already said
she
that.
messes
but-
him up real good. Mm-hmm.
And he pretty much she like punches him or something really really hard, and he goes flying from literally the top of the palace, which is like miles
Yeah,
away,
it's real
down
high.
to the Rainbow Bridge where everyone is fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And which is actually
Yeah.
good for him because then that gives them time to kind of regroup.
Kind
and decide
of.
what they're
But
gonna
then,
do.
Well,
what happens is when all those people are on the Rainbow Bridge, one side has the soldier creepy thingies, and the other side has Fenrir, and so
Fenris.
Fenris, and
Fenzi.
so
I like
because they don't want the
Fenzi.
giant dog to eat everybody. Freaking Banner is like, it's
got
nice
this.
to know you. You're gonna find out who I really am, Valkyrie. Ah,
He
like,
dives
He
out of
jumps
the
out and he
ship.
just splats hardcore. I told Andre, I was like,
as an adult male, face to a rainbow bridge.
he looks dead.
Wearing Tony Stark's clothes.
Wearing Tony Stark's clothes. And I told Andre, I was like, did he die? And Andre was like, he looks dead, dude.
Fenris just like sniffs his limp body and then walks over him. And then he hulks up and starts fighting.
Yeah, because Hulk basically won't let him
Starts
die,
fighting it.
right?
Which is hilarious because if you think about it, like, that's the only thing that could have taken on Fenris, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he then just like manhandles this dog in the water for
Oh,
the next
yeah.
like 20 minutes. They're just fighting in the water.
Which is
And Luis
awesome.
is like, how deep is this water? I'm pretty sure they're standing up. It looks like it's like 2 feet of water.
Right, yeah, it's interesting. But Hulk is pretty big. It could be like 4 feet.
Maybe he's just really buoyant because if he's top
just
heavy. He's just
bouncing,
Maybe, dude.
floating in the water, punching a dog.
Just told Andre that's one of those moments you don't expect, though. Like, you fully expect Banner to just jump off the bridge and like Hulk out in the air,
Yeah.
type of thing. Splat.
Because
like, ooh.
I think he does that in the Incredible Hulk movie. I think at one point Banner he like jumps out of a plane and he's like, "Roar," and then he hulks out by the time he
Yeah.
gets to the bottom. So it's very funny when that doesn't work at all.
Well, I think it's like a really good, like, what do you call it? It's a prelude, I guess, to how he is in Infinity War. Because think about it, how much of a hard time he has
You mean
going
Endgame?
in between.
Oh, no,
after
Infinity
that.
War, yeah.
He
Yeah,
can't
Infinity
really,
War.
like, you know, make Banner appear or make Hulk appear
Yeah.
once he's one or the other.
Hulk
So
is
it's
done after that. He's like, no.
I am done with this. So it's really funny to see him like struggle.
Yes.
He has this little
To even Hulk
dysfunctional
out.
issue.
Yeah, man.
Basically.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's basically what they come to the conclusion to is I like this because she's the goddess of death, right? So she's punching out Thor, and it basically takes Thor to like, I don't know what you want to call it,
He has-
limbo.
It's like limbo.
Yeah.
Like limbo, and Odin is there, and he's telling him
It's like a Dumbledore moment.
he's like, come on, dude. Like, Odin's not even, he's not really like super nice about it. He's just like, yep, she's strong, but
Are you the god of hammers? You don't need that hammer.
I know. I was like, dang, Odin, you're dead. Get out of here. Like, no, you're the god of thunder, which is so cool because then from this moment on,
She goes.
Thor is just a BA.
She goes, "What are you the god of again?" And then he hits her with the biggest lightning bolt on Earth, on Asgard. Crow!
But just legit, and then he's on the Rainbow Bridge, and then it's like, best part of the movie. And Thor's just messing it up too. He's like, blah, 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 like with all his lightning, just messing up people.
Here comes the thunder. Here comes the lightning. Looking so good. It's frightening.
It's literally the best part of the movie. Like, I'll put that scene on right now. So good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
see, we
and
just have to
and even Loki when he sees Thor is like, nice.
I know he's like,
Cool.
He's like,
That's
my
my brother.
Yeah. Which is good because I mean, if you think about it, yeah, that's like Thor's real power right there. You know what I mean? So
Yes. He
I
tapped in.
really enjoy that.
The other part of this that I really like is I like the turn of how like Ragnarok's coming, like you can't stop it. The whole idea is like, oh my gosh, Asgard's impending doom, but it's actually
Well, they think it's Hela, but it's not.
well, it's cool because
It kind of is.
Surtur,
Well, it is, I
Surtur,
mean.
whatever.
Surtur.
He said at the beginning, like, dude, it is prophesized that I am coming
It's
and
happening.
I am kicking Asgard's butt. Like it is.
I'm
coming.
destroying
Like-
everything.
Like, don't even worry about it. So it's actually fantastic that Thor brought him to Asgard to be the one
Yeah.
to then have to rekindle his flame
Yeah.
Rekindle the
Because
eternal flame.
to
basically-
allow him to kill Hela because they ain't killing him.
Right.
Yeah.
They
Well,
Hela
there
ain't
was
killing her.
no way they were going to defeat Hela. And then there was also no way they were going to save Asgard, which was that whole like Asgard's not a place, it's a people thing, which was kind of corny but makes sense. You know, so I think it's cool that they go and they use the eternal flame. Well, Loki does, right? Uses
Yeah.
the eternal
Yeah.
flame to bring Surtur back. And yeah, he just messes up the place. And Hela is pissed. She's like, no! Like,
But
she's
hold
very
on,
mad.
Pause here because Luis and I were like, oh, there's a moment. Loki runs to the vault room, the throne, the
yes,
treasure,
that's
the
right.
whatever, and he's running. He's getting the crown. He's taking it to the eternal.
Oh, and he
flames.
sees the Tesseract?
He's,
Yeah.
You always stealing my thunder.
Oh,
stealing
sorry.
my lightning. No, but he sees the Tesseract, and then he like kind of does a right.
Oh.
He does a at it. So then the thought, he takes the Tesseract, obviously.
Yes, absolutely.
He takes it. Where does it go from there?
Well, he's got super magic power, so he just, he does like a little invisible hidey thing. And
Yeah,
it goes,
so he invisibly hides it.
goes in like a pocket or whatever.
Well,
I think it's
basically-
on his person the entire time until the scene in Infinity War.
Yeah.
So then the spoiler, whatever happens to him, it just stays there? No.
Well, where is the Tesseract in Infinity War? Where did they get it from?
He get it from Loki. And Loki offers it up to Thanos, and Thanos takes it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's
You're
what
So
right.
Loki found it, and I'm thinking in my head, honestly, is
You're right.
because he took the Tesseract. That's kind of what drew Thanos to that ship.
if
Unfortunately,
he had left it there and then Surtur destroyed Asgard, it would have been completely destroyed, and Thanos wouldn't have gotten it at all.
Thank you for saying all that, because that just made that just pulled everything together.
yeah. So
Hey
because
there,
he took the
everyone. If anyone
Tesseract,
was confused. we just
oh
pulled
yeah,
together.
Thanos didn't just go to that ship out of the blue. He was like, but remember, he was like, "Fine, I'll do it myself." And then he was
I'll
like, "Well,
make it
this is the
myself.
closest
Right.
one. Loki has this, so I'm gonna go get it."
Beautiful.
Basically.
Thank you.
And he's on a ship, a tiny ship compared to his ship. So
I thought that he was there because you know how he does his purging of each
Population.
population. I thought he was there for the
he
purging.
needed-
I gotta get
he-
these
he had to
Asgardians.
get
They're
the-
trying to get
I didn't
away.
know he knew that the
he
stone
knew
was there.
the
Yeah.
stone was there, and
Yeah.
he asked some questions like, "Where is this?" Like in Infinity War, if you go back and watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like that too. It kind of pulls it all together. But I never thought about the fact that if he had left the Tesseract there, then it would have been just
It probably would have been destroyed. Although I don't know, maybe the Infinity Stones.
It might have
are-
still stayed there, but it would have been a very different storyline had it still stayed on
Right,
Asgard,
yeah.
which is good. Thank you for saying that. Boom.
So Surtur begins destroying Asgard. They're trying to evacuate. Hulk goes to fight Surtur.
oh, for one thing in life, don't smash.
Oh, big monster!
And he's literally
Like a
Hulk, you idiot! Stop!
Oh
God.
man!
oh, big monster. Sounds like a little kid again.
Like, I fight big
And
monsters.
then we
What do
didn't
you want
talk
me to do?
about how Scourge got his redemption.
Oh yes,
moment.
because he had been Hela's executioner the entire movie, but hesitantly, and then
yeah, he got kind of tricked.
he
into
got
that.
he got caught up. He tried to
Like, I'm just
escape
the
on the ship.
janitor.
Yeah, tried to escape on the ship wearing a big old cloak thing and just looking like the bulkiest refugee ever.
The only reason he was so bulky is because he had Des and Troy.
Yeah,
Yes,
Des and Troy.
Well, and that's funny too because he had like a really good redemption like kill moment. Like he got to jump out of the ship and like run down like the demon bad
Well, and
guys
if you-
like, shoot
If you
and-
recall, Hela asking him like, "What does he want?" or like, "Tell me about yourself," and he was saying
Prove
like
myself.
he wants to prove himself. So I guess he got that.
Yeah,
he was a good character. Actually, really
he was very
liked
funny.
Scourge.
Yeah.
He was good.
So yeah, then after that, Hela puts up a last-ditch effort against Surtur, and he lays her out and lays out all of Asgard. And
How does he lay her out again though? He just punches her.
she's shooting like
Yeah.
knives at him, and then he slams his sword into her face.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a very big sword.
It's yeah.
It's real big.
Bye bye, Hela.
So he's destroying Asgard. They're flying away. Korg is like, you know what? It looks pretty bad, but as long as the foundations are still there, then we can rebuild stronger,
And
better
it
than ever. This will be a
explodes.
haven for all warriors from across the galaxy. And it explodes. And he's like, no, the foundations are gone, man.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Which is fine because Thor immediately is like, "Guess we're gonna go to Earth, Midgard," which makes sense.
Second home.
And I still think the Asgardians a lot of the time are stupid because they're just in the background like, "Hey, cool, what are we doing now?" Like they just like don't really care, and I don't know how
Yeah,
much
they're
they know
kind
how
of getting
to
strung
do.
along. The Asgardians have gotten the short end of the stick for a few years now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They had Loki as the ruler, and then Hela was there and killed everybody. And now they're going to
He was in,
Earth.
Like Odin sleep.
Thanos shows up.
Yeah,
Thor was stupid
Yeah.
for a
a
while.
lot of craziness going on.
Yeah.
So
Well, we missed the one really funny Korg part, or at least for me, with Meek.
Oh,
He was
yeah,
standing
Meek-
there.
yeah.
Come on, Andre, do
Meek,
the
where are
voice.
you from? He goes, oh, Meek's dead. I accidentally stomped on him on the battlefield and felt really bad about it, so I've just been carrying him around here this entire time. And then Meek wakes up. He's like, oh, Meek, you're not dead.
Stupid.
I love it so much.
God.
I like that they're still in they're like in Endgame too. I'm like, oh, okay, so at least they're still
Oh yeah,
there. you know?
they're sticking around for a
Yeah,
long time. now.
They're good and funny. So we talked
They'll
about
be
the
in Thor
after
4.
we talked about the after credit scene already where, Thor and Loki are basically like, okay, this is it. This is good. We're going to
We're
chill
on our
now.
way.
And then Thanos' ship
Boom,
arrives.
Thanos shows up.
Which is, I love because Infinity War starts literally exactly where this movie left off.
Right.
Like
probably
right there on that ship.
5 minutes
So
later.
I was going to say it's like maybe an hour. So
Yeah.
sad.
And that's why I'm saying
Rips it
all
to
of this
shreds.
stuff, if you think about like Thor Ragnarok to Infinity War, like those happen in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Simultaneously.
that's all great. And then there's a second after credit scene with
the Grandmaster.
the Grandmaster.
where
So-
the revolution has ended and the
He's like, great job, everybody.
can't have a revolution without somebody to overthrow, and
So I really just did my part, and I'm going to call it a tie.
then I
The
assume they
end.
attempt to kill him or whatever. But I've heard Kevin Feige say that he wants to have the Grandmaster and the Collector maybe show up in a movie together at the same time. But
Oh, my God, please.
That'd be
Even
funny.
if it's like
See if that
5
can
minutes.
happen.
I don't even
yeah,
care.
right? That'd be fantastic. I just want to hear them talk to each other.
Yeah,
Can
and
you
that's
imagine
that.
it would be like,
You're so dramatic. So yeah, this movie's fantastic. Are there any-
Let's talk money, scores, do it.
Yeah, money. This movie had a budget of $180 million,
Jeez.
which is a lot. That's a fair amount of money to make a movie. But it ended up grossing a worldwide total of $853 million. Just under a bill.
Just under a bill.
Doing pretty good.
Which is funny, too, because I think in general, Thor, I'm not saying people don't like Thor, because people love Thor, but in general, I think some of the other avenging characters have better, followings.
Yeah.
But this one got, really, it just really did well.
It's interesting because Thor 2 was a huge disappointment for a lot of people. So it's interesting that
I'll still watch it, but
enough
it's
people
not great.
went back
I don't think I would watch it.
to the
again.
Thor franchise to see the character, because the character is great and that's
Sure.
who they love. But just going back to the Thor franchise itself and just coming out in droves after hearing how freaking good it is.
Well, and I think too is because his character really can, even though Thor 2 wasn't fabulous, his character continued to be quality.
Yeah.
Time and time and time and time again after that.
Yeah.
I mean, Loki too. I mean, the characters
Yeah.
are very, very important to the universe. So it was fantastic that, they were still kicking.
Kicking it. On Rotten Tomatoes, this movie has a 93%.
I thought it would be a little bit higher than that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah?
not saying that isn't high, but
93.
I thought it would be higher.
Yeah, I mean 93 is pretty good.
Well, that was pretty good.
Pretty good. It's a A. It's
Yeah,
not even-
it's an
Well,
A.
what are you
It's
going
not
to give it
even
on,
A
Jerry?
minus. I'm gonna give it an A. Let's see, 9 point
Ooh, you're giving a point.
7.
Whoa.
9.7 out of
Dang.
10.
Point
y'all.
7.
Dang, y'all.
This movie is nearly perfect. It's fantastic. It's exciting the whole way through. It's funny the whole way through. It's just a wild ride that I could watch over and over and over again all the way through. And I think the only reason it doesn't get a 10,
Yeah, why?
I don't know. Why didn't I give it a 10?
Your gut tells you so.
Yeah, I guess.
My
Come back
gut-
to me.
My gut says no.
Yeah.
What about you, Michelle?
I'm going to give this movie
Right.
a 9. Like, it's the best out of the Thor movies and the Hulk movies. There's other Marvel movies that I like more, but this is, up there in the tops. It's so good. I'm going to give it a 9. Louise.
Out of all the Marvel movies, in terms of, because I got different categories. I got BA categories, and then I got funny categories.
Mhm.
This is number 2 on my, actually probably tied for number 1 on my most funny category. So I'm gonna give it a 9.
Nice.
9.
Wow, that's really high for you, Louis.
It's so good,
Yeah.
dude.
True.
I'm gonna give it
Luis
a 9.
really liked that Doctor Strange scene. So.
Yes, he's really good.
A 9.
I'm gonna give it a 9. I enjoyed everything. The one thing I think for me why it's not a 9.5 or almost 10 is that the music rocked in certain situations, and in other situations it was just kind of like, eh.
They really went with that synthy sound throughout,
Which is cool.
throughout the whole movie.
But it didn't like always grab my attention. Like some of the songs that they did or some of the score that they did was really catchy. Like when the Valkyrie was fighting,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
really good. But then in other parts it was just kind of like blah. And then they used like, what is that song called?
Immigrant Song.
Come on, they have some song.
Yeah, that one.
It's fantastic.
They used it
it twice.
Correct.
I mean, I'm not saying it's bad, but like we could have rocked the entire time. Like if we're
True.
gonna rock, let's rock. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
that's
anyway.
where like Guardians lives up way more.
Yeah. I mean,
Soundtrack.
they rock funky 80s like nobody. So
Yeah.
But
Holy
anywho,
moly.
I very much enjoyed this movie. The one thing I do want to say before we decide to start signing off is that I was looking up stuff for this movie because you know me, I like to know all the secrets and
All
stuff.
the things.
And the funniest things that I was finding is how much Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston in real life love each other. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Like I
That is
didn't
the
know
pros.
that, but like you know,
they're
they've
besties, dude.
Yes, they're like straight up besties because
Wow.
they've been playing like this role for over 7 years, like
Yeah.
the role of brothers.
Mhm.
So for them, like they spend a lot of time together, and
A lot of scenes together. That's true.
like Chris is like, yeah, he's pretty much like one of the Hemsworth brothers now. Like he's just become part of our family, and so it's just really funny to watch them like in interviews and stuff because they're like finishing each other's like sandwiches, like no doubt. Okay.
Oh,
It's
Wow.
quite hilarious. And you can find like total like fangirl pinned stuff and it's called Hiddlesworth.
Oh Lord.
Okay, so that's
oh
where
my gosh,
Of
you
course
need to
there
find
is.
like, you know,
some good times.
Hiddlesworth.
Yeah. If you need some Hiddlesworth in your life, you know where to go.
It's just quite hilarious. I thought that was cute that they're real brothers in real life.
Yeah. That's cool, honestly. Like I like it when that works out like that. That
For
people,
sure.
you know,
I'd rather
enjoy
have
each
them be
other's
friends
company.
than not. You know.
Well, and I think that's what they were saying in a lot of the things that I was watching was that it actually strengthens their on-screen chemistry because
Yeah.
then it like their joking is actually joking, like they're
Right.
giving each other a really hard time with it, you know, and it's better acting because they
Yeah.
actually like each other, and so it's fun to give each other a hard time.
right.
Which is totally true.
As opposed to the two leads in the 50 Shades of Grey movies, apparently they hate each other.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Like
yeah.
the guy and the girl.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Mm.
That
That's
their
rough.
like off-screen chemistry is just no good.
oh, well, good to know.
Yeah. Mhm.
I mean, I never watched the movie,
Me
so
neither,
I can't give
so-
you any background.
Just a fun
But I feel
fact.
like in the books they kind of hated each other too.
Yeah, but that's like part of the fetish or whatever. Anyway,
Hey, just so you guys know, it's also Benedict Cumberbatch's birthday today.
happy birthday, Benedict.
So today, today when we were recording, it is the July what?
19th.
19th.
July 19th.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Another year,
Cumberbatch.
another wizard.
Another mystic arts sorcerer throwing around a god.
I did say it
like
weird, Cumberbatch.
Cumberbatch.
Speaking of Cumberbatch,
Yes.
next week
He's going to appear soon. Next week, we
he
are.
might have the key to all things ending.
Oh. The key. Next
I'm
week,
done.
we
The
are going
insight.
to the very next movie in the Marvel Universe. It is. Excuse me.
Oh my god, I'm so.
Avengers: Infinity War.
Dun,
I think in our last Summer of Heroes, we did.
did a couple Avengers.
We did the Avengers, and
New Age of Ultron.
I think we did Civil War. I think maybe I don't know, but we
Anyways,
we skipped Age of
we're
Ultron.
skipping. We're going to Infinity War because we feel like if you're thinking about the history of Marvel movies for our end of our Marvel movie summer, well, we have another movie after this, but we want to culminate it with getting near to the end of these 22 movies so we can talk about this whole plethora of a universe as a whole.
Plus, when you think
Plethora.
about like what are the best movies? Sorry, this is one of the best movies.
Infinity War, and I like Infinity War better than Endgame. So
Well, Infinity War allows
They're
your
It was
brain
like
to
the
do
initial
more.
like
Yeah, it allows your brain to be like, oh wow,
Yeah.
a lot more than
Endgame.
the other one
Endgame.
does.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is like very intentionally tying up loose ends, so it's like finite.
Yeah. Endgame or
This
Good.
one is like, oh,
Infinity War is second act and Endgame is third act. So
For
you
sure.
know. Mm-hmm. Stuff.
we're doing it though,
Stuff
guys.
like that.
So get your listening ears on
Get
because
your
it's about to
listening
be
ears
a
on.
long one.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
also get
This
your,
one's
like,
a long one.
eyes on. Like, watch the movie.
Yeah, open your
Yeah.
your
Good.
lids.
Good idea.
I don't know. Like,
Open
maybe,
your eyes. Open your ears.
Get
let
your ears
in.
on.
Maybe watch the movie.
Get your face on.
Let in Infinity War
Pop that
and the Walt
popcorn.
Vault.
Pop that popcorn, says Michelle. Hashtag always.
Snack.
Hashtag always snack
Oh,
in.
it's been a while actually. It hasn't. I had a burrito before this. Continuing on.
Anyway, that's it for us for this week. Keep up with us in the meantime on social media. We're at the Walt Vault Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can send us a message on any of those platforms. Oh yeah, you know what? I had an email.
We've had
That's-
actually
An
quite a few
email.
emails by some fabulous
Yes.
people, namely Kevin.
Kevin.
Shout out to Kevin.
My name's
Um,
Kevin.
Go on.
Are you trying to make him cork?
No, he's from Australia,
He's
so I was
Australian.
trying to do an accent, but it didn't really work.
Yeah.
name's Kevin.
where's Kevin's email. Here it is. Okay. Kevin asked us a question, which I guess we'll answer right now.
All right.
Let's see here.
Did you respond to Kevin?
I
after-
did not respond to Kevin, so we're responding to him right
Oh my
now.
God.
We're responding to him live on the show.
Okay.
Here we go.
Even though I sent you a long-winded response.
I
to the text
know.
message.
Anyway, Kevin says, "Hello guys, me again. I know how much Andre loves email, so here it is. Thank you, Kevin. Also, I'm up to the Mulan episode. I know, back to the fray. But my question to you guys is, since live-action remakes are making an appearance, are you all about it or nah? Also, which live-action are you most looking forward to or want to be made into one? Thank you for your entertainment that gets me through my workday. Your Australian fan, Kevin."
All right,
Cool.
Kevin. So I'll start it out.
Make it
Michelle over here is not about the live actions. I don't like many of the remakes besides Beauty and the Beast. But if I have to say the most excited live action that I'm totally ready for is Mulan, because it has no songs and it's like a completely different twist in storyline, which
And it's an all-Asian cast.
Yeah.
I can get behind completely. So
Right.
Mulan is going to be where it's at. I'm trying to ignore the fact that they're making a Little Mermaid live action remake because I can't, because it's my animated hero. So, Mulan's going to be
See,
where it's at though. Andre.
That's interesting to me because my favorite animated movie, both of my favorite animated movies
Are
had their
being
live
made
actions
right now.
coming out this year.
In fact, we are seeing Lion King in a couple days.
Yes, this very weekend. So
Which I'm not excited about.
So
again.
for Aladdin, I wasn't that excited because of the trailers that they had presented to me, and they were showing me different stuff that looked too different from what I wanted it to be, and it ended up being a fairly fun movie.
It was okay.
But nothing compared to the original, right? But at the same time, I look forward to the live action movies just because I like the stories that I like, and a different interpretation of them doesn't feel like insidious to me. It just is either going to be just as good or not as good, and I can watch the original again,
See, but the thing is, the majority of them have been not as good. So I'm like, can you stop wasting my time?
I really liked The Jungle Book.
No.
I liked Beauty and the Beast a lot.
Yes.
And
Mary Poppins, I actually just watched. It was very good.
Luis
it's not
and I
a remake.
really like the Maleficent movie.
Maleficent was
But
cool.
see, those are more original stories to me.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I think
Like,
that's
it
why
doesn't
we
count
liked them.
as like that live action remake to me.
Yeah.
I think that they categorize it that way, but I agree with you that I think that I like that it's an original story because it's like from a different perspective.
That's why I think
versus-
Mulan's going to be really cool.
Right.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to Mulan. I'm also looking forward to Cruella. So they're supposed to be doing a movie on just Cruella
I am
DeVille.
all about that. Cruella
starring
is one
Emma
of the
Stone, I believe.
coolest-
But that's more original, you know what I
Emma
mean? Versus like that
Stone.
live
oh,
action.
yes.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
She'll be the weirdest, kookiest, but also very evil.
Yes.
Oh, I can't
Luis. I think Luis actually agreed with me. What live action are you excited for, Luis?
wait. It wasn't that he was excited for one. I think it was more like if he could pick one that he could choose to be live action.
Ooh, that's a good
Oh,
question, too.
yeah. What were you going to
Are you
say?
saying that, Luis?
You wanted it to be Oliver and Company?
Definitely
No.
not.
Why should I worry? Why should I care?
I think it was.
I'm going to explain what happened in the text message conversation because it was
trying to find
hilarious.
it.
Pretty much, Luis was like, I would love to see the Aristocats because a cat's the only cat that knows where it's at. And then Michelle wrote back and was like, I just saw Cats the Musical. That's awful. And Luis was like, I do not want people playing cats, Michelle. I want cats playing cats.
Speaking of cats, they just released a trailer for the new Cats movie.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
Can't wait to
Anywho.
show it to you guys.
Scary.
Anyways, Kevin, thanks for emailing us.
Yes, we appreciate your email. If you want to send an email in and get your message read on the show, you can do so to contact@thewaltvaultpod.com. Send me an email. We'll read it on the show. Answer.
But we obviously won't
questions.
respond to
I'm
you.
not going to respond.
Regardless of if Emily, writes a big old thing about which live action she wants and nobody asks her, it's code. Don't
Listen,
ask me. I ain't going to tell you.
You got to listen
Oh.
an hour and a half into the show to get the answers to your questions. Anywho.
Emily, what live action are you
I
trying
know.
to
I
say?
ain't told you. I'm done.
I'm going to find the text. I'm going to read it out loud.
No.
Oh, okay.
Get out of here. We're done. This is a long episode.
Oh, she said she was excited about Mulan.
There was a follow-up text message. Okay. Like a 2-hour long episode. Get out of here.
If you want to support us, you can do so in a couple ways. You can just hit subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening to on right now. That helps us a lot. You can leave us a review. That helps us a lot. Or you can literally give us money by going to patreon.com/thewaltvault. Sign up there for as little as $1 a month, and you'll get access to our after show. I post my notes. Emily's making faces at me. And
It's because I'm using Luis's nubbins right now. Number one, it smells. Number two, I was getting prickled by a hair from his beard that is stuck in it, and I just pulled it out.
gross.
That's
Right.
why you use your own
If you
nubbins.
sign up at the $5 more level, we'll send you a dirty nubbins in the mail. That's it for now, you guys.
That's disgusting.
Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time for some Avengers Infinity War goodness. The vault is now closed.